which features coaches from the teams. Today, we're joined by eMIL from TL, Minnie from Fnatic, Alex from PaperX, fRoD from Loud, and d00mbr0s from NaVi. We will start with pre-submitted questions. So we have one for PaperreX Alex from Strafe. PaperRex's compositions are pretty aggressive most of the time, and the players play multiple roles. Do you think having a lack of consistency in the roles might hinder the team's performance?
I mean, it's never bothered us before, so I don't think so. Hopefully, we just continue what we're doing and it kind of works.
All right, thank you. We will now open the floor for remote media questions. If you have a question, please use the Zoom hand raise feature. First question from Elizabeth at the Score Esports.
Hi, my question's for Alex. Two-parter, very quick first question. Is something going to be at Masters Tokyo? Is that confirmed or not?
Hi, Liz. Right now, I think Riot and all the different government bodies and PRX, they're doing whatever they can to get him to Masters Tokyo. It's looking quite touch and go. We will not know, even after our first game. I'm going to assume that he won't make it for the first game, but obviously we are hoping that he does.
Okay, and then my second question is, benkai last played with PaperX on April 15th, where he was swapped out mid-series against DRX. On June 4th, a press statement was released announcing benkai's benching, crediting a need for roster stability. Beyond your consistent wins after that benkai stopped playing, what did you see as a large enough improvement that led you to benching your in-game leader?
It wasn't really about them. Sorry, do I answer?
Yeah,
Yep.
what?
Okay, it's like I can hear background noise.
Oh, sorry.
It wasn't really about the Oh, what was the question again? It wasn't really about the improvement. It's more like when something joined the team and we're running like a 6-man, 7-man roster kind of thing, it's very hard to actually get like synergy going with the players. Even in practice when we were switching around players and stuff, I tend to see like a drop off in performance. So eventually we had to settle on the playing 5. And since we had to play with someone had to go, you know what I mean? And it's more like a role clash kind of issue. Right now, Ben plays Sentinel roles for us, and in his way is Davai and Forsaken. They've both been playing very, very well. So by that, we couldn't really it was kind of a no-brainer that we had to put him in the back seat for a while. If someone else played a little bit worse, then maybe we could have considered it again.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Bo Rendezvous.
Hi, this question is for Alex. After the rough start of the season, there was a lot of criticism for PaperX to reinvent their aggressive and off-meta approach. Instead, the team doubled down on their style with something, joining the roster. Was there times where you felt like changing the style of the team, or did you believe in it all the way until it started to prove those critics wrong?
To be perfectly honest, I think Champions lock-in and the first 4 weeks of Pacific, we didn't really play very aggressive. I think we're trying our best to actually be a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more careful. After losing to DRX, we thought, okay, look, it's not really working for us. I think we need more time to learn. We've learned a lot along the way, playing a little bit more careful, single duelist, kind of thing. And we just wanted to go back to what we know is comfortable for us. Yeah, that's pretty much what we did.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Adli at VLRGG.
Hi, this question is for Alex once again. So this is going to be a two-parter.
Sure.
A lot of questions today for the first.
Okay.
So Jason mentioned earlier that it's most likely that he will revert back to the duelist role with the absence of something. Does this have been in line with how PRX have been screaming towards the tournament? And the second question is, are you going to be in a more friendlier term with your coaching desk this time around?
So the first question is whether Jason is going to do this, right? Is that the first question?
Yeah, correct. Is this something in line with how the team has been screaming so far?
I think it depends. Like what he said, I think it depends map by map. Some maps, yes, he's going to do it. Some maps, we're trying to figure it out. Yeah, some maps. As for the second question, yeah, I'll try to be a bit peaceful this time. I think the stress of getting here, now that we're here, I think I'll take care of the desk.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Cecilia at Fut Esports.
Hello. My question would be for everyone. What are your expectations on your team's performance this master?
To win.
To win.
To play as good as we can.
Yeah. Not win.
Same for me, play as good as we can.
To win.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Ryan at Esports ID.
Thank you. For all coaches, do you think this format where you guys advance to the playoffs early on will affect the team? And you guys will face group stage teams where they'll have already played 2 to 3 matches before, while you guys will play your very first match here in Tokyo. How will this affect the prep or mentality to the team?
Is that for everyone?
I think so.
So I think that question gets asked like every time this happens, and I don't think there's a major deal. It just depends on the context of the team at the time. For us personally, we needed the break, and we needed to go over some stuff. So for us, I like the fact that we had a break. If we didn't have a break, we would be pretty awful. So it's good.
Kind of with Mini here, us that went to the final, you know. It's good to have a break. But also, I think more in a negative kind of point is we have some more time on the stage, a bit more warm. So coming in and playing the first game against a team that's already played on stage sometimes can be a little bit difficult. It's kind of the same thing when you go from like a lower bracket and then you get warmed up to then play the finals. So it's good sometimes to actually play through everything.
Doesn't affect me because we're playing in the group stage, unfortunately, but
bad.
We've been there before, so we're used to it. I don't think we ever skipped the group stage in an event, I'm pretty sure. So just happy to play a lot of matches. That's it.
I don't really have an opinion, but it's just nice to start in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to start in the playoffs, but for us, the way we view it too is it's just extra days of practice, extra days to study our opponent. So regardless if it's on stage or practice, you know, it's just some extra time to prepare for our opponent.
Thank you. Next question from Brandon Esports GG.
Thank you. I'll ask this to the three EMEA coaches. The slot for champions is not guaranteed like it is for the other, leagues. There is a chance that every EMEA team can make it to the playoff bracket. So I'd just like to know your guys' thoughts on that decision and kind of just how you feel about the possibility of maybe placing well in the league, but still not being guaranteed that champion spot, depending on how this tournament plays out.
Right, my manager is here, so obviously I can't be too brutal, but what is the logic in we won the event and then 4 teams go and we're not at champions? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We came top 2, we won lock-in, we screwed ourselves by winning lock-in. It doesn't really make much sense to me, in my opinion. With that being said, that's Mini outside the server. Mini inside the server is, boys, we got a trophy to win. So doesn't affect us in the game, but outside the game, obviously, logically, my problem-solving brain is like, that doesn't really make much sense. So we're kind of used to it at this point. Like, it's been 3 years. We know that the decisions aren't always done in the way that we want them to be done, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
I kind of want to segue on what he said as well. You're coming to this event. The bottom, like the 4th team, will go back and play LCQ pretty much instantly. So you're playing against all the other teams that just had a bunch of practice time. So you're kind of disadvantaged in that as well. So yeah, I feel bad for the team that's gonna be 4th place in EMEA here.
I mean, technically, you could, not saying you're gonna lose, but you could win all of lock-in, go through the whole league to the final, and then go and play, come 4th, and have to do LCQ as well.
Yep.
That's crazy. Just gonna say. But yeah, it is kind of weird preying on one of us to have a bad run to actually qualify. So
it's like we're praying for each other to have a good run at lock-in, and now we want each other to lose.
Yeah,
it's very much liquid.
Thank you. Next question from Bo at Rendezvous.
Hi, this question is for fRoD. What lessons did you learn and differences you noticed swapping from working in North America in Valorant to Loud?
Not too much as far as that goes. I just think, my family being from Cuba and just having a similar background to them makes things a lot easier when, the players, the upbringing, the way that they approach the game and everything is very similar to how I was. So just really grateful and happy to be part of a group of guys that, share the same type of passion and dedication for what we do. So just really grateful for that. And the cultures are very similar. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Commend Rendezvous Podcast.
Hi, I've got a question for Mini. I think as a viewer, it was quite easy to see Fnatic's run, through lock and the splits quite smooth sailing, and it was all quite easy. But I'm interested to know, were there any like challenges behind the scenes that you kind of had to work through that maybe we didn't see because you were winning so much?
I mean, like, people have that view that like we just sailed through. But that's not how, like, even if we win the scrim like 20-0, like there's 100 notes where the boys are making mistakes. So it's like, I never view things like that. If you watch my camera when I'm like in the coach cam, like you can see I'm pretty stoic and pretty mad even when we're winning rounds. Like, I don't really think about things in a way that's like, I want us to play the best Valorant, and the best Valorant doesn't mean you've won the round of the game. So I think about things a bit differently. Like, I know that outside people are just thinking, oh, I'm just sailing through, but that's not really my approach, or me or Boaster's approach. With that being said, what was the next part of the question, sorry?
Well, that was it really. I was just wondering if there was anything specific that you had to work through.
Outside the server, obviously, we've had visa issues, we've had COVID issues, we've had illnesses. Yeah. There's been a lot of things out of our control that we've had to deal with, and has had a strain on the stuff we've been able to do in game, as well as icebox being removed. So like, obviously quite a few things to battle with that were out of our control, and I'm kind of proud of the team, the boys, for kind of, and earthquakes, I guess, as well. Like, we've been through it all this year, and I think people just from the outside think that like, oh, Fnatic, they just win it all, but it's like, it's not always as simple as that, inside or outside the server.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Sons of KS Latam.
Thank you very much. This question is for everyone. What type of tournament format do you like most? Like the lock-in is the short format, BCT middle format, and not long format, or master format is the little middle format?
Love lock-in. No, I'm just kidding.
I would say the champions format last year was good. I mean, all masters formats are good if you don't advance to playoffs. Like, you just have proper groups. And
I think the regular play, the champs format was good, but I don't know. I don't really care too much. Whatever you hand it to me, we'll make it work.
Sure.
I think champions format is good. Also, like, it feels like we've had less time between the end of the split and the event this time, which I think is going to show in the way that teams are playing potentially. Like, I think that it would be nice there was a bit more of a break between, because we'd see teams advance and develop maybe a little bit more. Yeah, because we had 5 days break and we're already here. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, same for us.
Yeah, I've been home 2 weeks the whole year, I think so.
Muchas gracias por responder.
For me, I think maybe. Oh, sorry.
No,
maybe we can try a new format, maybe something different, So maybe Swiss or something new. I've all the time, we don't really play. I haven't played a Brazilian team before. I think I'd like to try one,
Yeah, I think Swiss would be good as well. But honestly, I do like the format of the league where it's round robin then playoffs. Gives an opportunity for everyone in the tournament to play each other and kind of have a playoff to figure out who's the best team, and everyone's competed against each other. So anything that has some sort of round robin or group and then playoffs, I think would be optimal.
Thank you very much for the answer.
Thank you. Nalali Hardware Reviews Latam.
Hi, my question is for fRoD, and I would like to ask if you could describe in 3 words what we are likely to see from Loud in the competition. What would they be?
I guess same old Loud, we're gonna just keep doing what we're doing and hopefully put out a good show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Elizabeth, the Score Esports.
Hi. So once again, I'm asking a question for Najib from ESTNN. This is to Mini. Fnatic enjoyed one of the longest winning streaks in Valorant until the grand final against Liquid. What do you think played the biggest role in that defeat? Was it just an unlucky day?
I think it was just a really long split. We were grinding really hard. And yeah, it's just an off day, I think, as well. Like, I think it's just one of those kind of days. We didn't really change all that much that day. Our preparation was okay, but it wasn't like I stayed up to 6 a.m. or anything. So I think maybe I could have done a bit better. Maybe we could have treated it a bit differently. We also just took a day off the day before, and we've never done that before because we were just so tired. Like when you're going to every event, when you're going deep into events, it's tiring, and like the well-being of the players comes first sometimes. So like we came top 2, that's fine. We didn't win the trophy, that stings, but Tokyo's where it's at, so we're gonna focus on Tokyo.
That's right. Thank you so much. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Bo Rendezvous.
Hi, this question is for all the coaches, and you guys are from different regions except d00mbr0s, eMIL, and Mini. So I wanted to quickly ask regarding the tier 2 system, which teams do you expect to win Ascension, and are there any players you guys have your eyes on?
I can answer for me, Apex, and maybe someone to give an eye out for could be Mystic. I don't know why I'm so careful saying that. It's like you're shouting out someone.
I would say Apex as well, but yeah, I prefer to keep players I have an eye on.
You have to say someone.
No, I don't.
Come on,
It can be a little bait, you know what I mean?
A freebie.
Okay, maybe Keiko.
Okay.
Let's say Keiko.
Yeah, Apex as well, obviously. Got the 3 Fnatic boys there, so I'm kind of rooting for them. I think I was a bit I downplayed them a little bit at the start of the season just to make sure that they didn't have too much pressure on them, but they've been playing so sick, so I'm like kind of proud of them. As for player, there's so much Turkish talent that it hurts my brain to watch Turkish Valorant right now. Like, I think Woot and Sociable have both been really solid. Unfortunately, Fireflux, I think Fireflux are sick, but for some reason they just seem to falter at the last moment. So yeah, try out Turkish Valorant, I guess.
I want to shout out Enzo as well.
Yeah, same.
Really
Enzo's been so good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, obviously everyone's going to talk about Kickboard a little bit, but like, he wasn't an IGL really, and he's now become an IGL, so fair play.
Yeah, great guy as well. So.
Yeah, from APAC, I mean, from Pacific, I think honestly, a lot of the Pacific teams thought JDI was gonna do very well in Ascension, but for some reason they didn't qualify. As for player, I think Izu would probably find himself in a franchise team soon. Yeah, as for who's winning Ascension in Pacific, it should be Bleed. I think they're the most prepared.
For me, I would say it's kind of tough to choose between M80, Guard, and the Union. I think all 3 of those teams are really strong. And as far as players go, big fan of Nismo since he's touching 30 like I am. So got to give a shout out to all the old school players that are trying to, make it big.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Final remote question from Adli via LarGG.
Hi. All right. This question is for d00mbr0s. We've seen in the past during the EMEA split that NaVi have played with a more interesting compositions. What were your background on the decisions with the compositions, and will we see more, let's say, experimentations, let's say more of a dynamic composition this time around?
So I would say with our compositions, it's always kind of push and pull between me and Angel and the rest of the guys. We tried to experiment to find our style and the way we want to play. but our style is switching up from time to time, depending on opponent or what we feel on that day, I would say. And of course, we won't change that. Like we might go to a little bit safer sometimes. We might not. Depends on who we play and how a meta is looking. Was it another part of the question?
Nope, I think
Or did I
that's
answer your
only it.
question?
Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you so much.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from on-site media?
This question's for eMIL. You heard Minnie's response earlier for the biggest reason why he thinks that Fnatic had lost the final, but I wanted to ask you pretty much the same question. What do you think was the biggest reason why Team Liquid was able to win that final compared to the previous bouts that went so clearly the opposite way?
Honestly, I think just the energy at stage, like comparing us and them, it was different. Strats, firepower, all of that, it's good. But at the day, we need to perform. You need to come with a certain type of energy, certain type of like willingness to win. And not saying they didn't have it, but we had a lot more energy than them. Doing some barking at them, stuff like this, all of that. I think we came just without expectations, without pressure on us, because they had all the pressure on them, right, to win, and we just had fun. And I think we had more fun than what they had, which ultimately led us to the win, in my opinion.
And a follow, thank you. Follow questions to Minnie as well, just about your run so far. While you were talking about it not exactly being smooth sailing like it looked from the outside, a lot of what you were doing whilst looking like the best team in the world was playing what other teams might describe as off meta. So while everybody else is trending towards, the double controller Sky and the Neon and Jet and stuff on Lotus, you guys are moving the other way with the Raze Fade. And that applies to actually quite a lot of your map pool too. Is that a conscious thing where you're trying to play differently to other teams, or is that your read on what's best currently, or what was best currently?
It's more about our strengths as a team, I think. Like with the players we have, I respect that like they're kind of like almost best in slot at the things they do. And we want to make sure that we're kind of keeping that. So like, I mean, in general, Harbor just isn't something that suits us that well. Like we've tested it and it works quite well. Like we can pull it out, but it's not across the board something that we've liked on every map. Like Bosa just doesn't like it that much the way it plays. So yeah, it's not like a much deeper than that really, to be honest.
Thank you very much for that. I wanted to talk d00mbr0s. It's going to be your first time, the team's first time playing against NRG, I believe. What's your confidence level coming into that, and what do you think about them as opponents?
I mean, we played against Optic in the past. Obviously now they stole one of our players, so it's going to be a bit different. But I think we're a pretty similar team to us. It's always exciting to play them. Like they do a lot of, I'm not sure how much anti-stratting they do, but they at least think about the game in a way of like countering your opponents and outcalling them. And Angel is the same. So it's kind of a battle of the minds, a battle of the coaches, battle of senior versus artists. So it's just a fun game. Like I will enjoy it. With that said, I'm confident, like always calm and confident.
Thank you. Alex, I have been following PaperRex's run pretty intensely, and watching your coach cam is often one of the most entertaining parts about the game. How do you find a balance as a coach between letting your players go with their ideas and with their style and trying to rein them in? Because when I listen to the comms videos, it sounds sometimes like you desperately want to say something, but you realize it's not the time in those timeouts to have that conversation. What are the kind of things running through your head when you coach this team?
Oh, okay, so I think if you listen to the comms videos, I rage a lot in the background. I tend to do that because if I bring it into the comms, the timeout usually is counterproductive. In the past, I think I've been a lot nastier to the players, and I think you can see that they visibly like drop energy. They just try not to make mistakes, and in that case, they tend to like mess up a lot more. It's a vicious cycle. So nowadays, I think generally when we get in the timeout phase, it's more like trying to make them more relaxed, try and make sure that they understand like certain protocols we're supposed to follow, and then just reminding them of what they do good. I try not to harp on mistakes anymore, like almost never. I mean, the round's done, you know. It's something I learned along the way. Yeah, so we just try and keep it positive, and then usually what happens is they are more, they get more aligned, you know, and then after that we just go in a better attitude next round.
Your team plays very interesting compositions. You're bringing out the Harbor on Ascent, but the Harbor on Bind as well, but you're playing it in such a different way. Can you talk to me a bit about who on the team is in charge of, or who takes charge of crafting compositions that you run that are really unique and different? And those little micro plays that you do, with the weird Harbor walls and the fast sand pushes and all sorts of unusual things that you're clearly not copying from anyone else because no one else is doing it.
All right. So as for who takes charge, I think usually Forsaken is the one that's just running around the server. But they all like, you know, they all spend time alone just throwing utility around the places. Then suddenly they call me over and they're like, "Oh, Alex, come look at this. Can we do something with this?" And then I'll just drag them together, you know, and I'll put them together. It's like, okay, do something. And then as for micro plays, I think we've built that over a long period of time. It's been something we did since the start of the game. So it's a habit for them, you know. They just try always do new things. We focus a lot on creativity rather than watching other people play. But that's not, we have a lot of time spent trying to watch like and learning from every single team because, you know, everyone here are champions already, right? They've won their regions and stuff. By and large, I think Jason Forsaken pretty much has a lot of ideas. After that, everyone just chimes in from there, and then we just sort of form, like we sort of build it off a base of what Jason is saying. So usually, like if anything is creative with the Harbor, it's going to be Forsaken doing like random walls and asking us what we can do with it, more or less.
And then the decision to bench Benkai, was that made before you realized that something was not going to be attending this event? It seems counterproductive to not just return back to your original 5 if you're not going to be able to run the same roles anyway. So can you walk me through that thought process a little bit?
I think it's more like, okay, so what happens was we tried to play the best 5. And in that case, I told Ben, you know, like maybe you gotta try and practice different roles, right? So that you can sub in case someone is not playing as well as he can. As for CGRS, he's been playing with us a little bit in practice as well. So it just makes more sense for us, like better for unit cohesion, because Ben has been out for a while, since maybe the 5th week of Pacific, you know, and he's been doing his own thing, just getting ready as like a good teammate would do, you know, like just supporting us from behind the scenes. And for this event, I think it's easier for us to work with CGRS in terms of comms rather than Ben at the moment. That's the only reason.
Thank you.
Yeah.
fRoD, you talked a lot about how the players on Loud, you can you have like a similar culture in terms of your upbringing, despite being in very different places. You've been in a Cuban family in the US, them being, well, in Argentina or Brazil. Can you speak a little bit to your background there and what you kind of learned during 1.6 that's helped you be specifically good in this role? It feels like you're uniquely placed with your background and your experience to be an excellent coach for Loud.
Throughout my career, 1.6, it was always kind of a dream of mine to be part of an international team somehow. So it just never really materialized. I was very loyal with Complexity and the boys that I had there. But I was always tempted, especially with like the MIBR and Kogu teams and stuff like that when we had conversations. And honestly, you know, Spanish and Portuguese is very similar. So it didn't really take too much time to figure out the differences between the two languages. And as far as like the way that we approach the game, the way that we focus on our team chemistry, the vibes, the attitudes that we have, the conversations that we have. Obviously, we're very hard on each other and have great conversations, but we're like a family. So I think that the kind of environment that we have is the closest thing that I've ever had to my Complexity days as a player. Just the way that we treat the game, the way we treat each other. So for me, it just seemed like a perfect fit. Obviously not really knowing too much about every individual. But yeah, I think a lot of that is very similar, especially with just the way that just the outlook that we have on the game and also the kind of respect that we have for each other.
Do you see in any of the players on the team, specifically or as a whole, a reflection of yourself growing up, going through the same kind of things? Obviously a very different scene in terms of esports and a different game. But is there anybody where you look at them and you feel like they're going through the same kind of stuff that you did on the come up?
A little bit of everyone, especially the rookies who are, putting forth extra effort to be part of a big picture. But when it comes to stuff in the game, I would probably say maybe Aspas, just because we play similar roles, snipers and stuff like that. So for me, I've been able to have a lot of conversations with him just about how to improve his game. And honestly, I would say probably that, just similar, because I had a very aggressive sniping style when I played professionally, and I think that Aspas has developed into one of the best players out there, especially with his aggressive style. So I think just helping him out and empowering him to be the best player he can be is probably the closest similarity.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will wrap up this press conference with a final question from Anton.
Hey, this is a question for d00mbr0s and eMIL. At a past press conference in Istanbul, you shared that your parents closely follow your games with some jokes on the part of d00mbr0s about who the favorite child was.
Right.
Have there been any conversations about how an outcome of a potential match could influence that? Anything you'd be willing to share about the current state of the family group chat?
And I think my mom has a new favorite child. It kind of hurts my heart a little bit.
I won.
Yeah.
I won.
I will see in 2 weeks. Maybe it will change.
So far, it's me.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We made it to the end. The event will kick off tomorrow, 12 p.m. JST, with the first match between Fut Esports and Evil Geniuses. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you tomorrow.